This meeting is now called to order. This is the Public Safety Committee meeting for Monday, May 1st, 2023. I am the Chair, Councilwoman Yolanda McCoy for the 6th District, and at this time, I will call the roll for those members of the committee first. Councilman Oliver,
Present.
Councilman Darby, Councilman Johnson,
Here.
Councilman Spadola, Councilman Mills,
Present.
President Congo. Okay. And for those who are not on the committee, if you'd like to state your name.
Councilman White.
Thank you, Councilman White. Okay, so as a friendly reminder, that, only the members of the committee should be making motions and seconding. Okay. So we're gonna have a little change in the agenda today. We have 3 items. The very first item that we will get to will be our presentation from the, there's a presentation regarding the Judicial Safe Surrender event, and is by Mr. Roger Ruth and Ms. Elizabeth Petrick. If you would not mind coming to our, to the podium, yes. Okay. Thank you. You may actually stand at the podium, or you can actually have a seat if you like. And once you get to your respective seats, if you can just introduce yourself before you speak. Thank you.
I'm Liz Petrick, Court Administrator for the Justice of the Peace Court.
My name is Roger Roof. I am the Operations Manager North for the Justice of the Peace Court.
Thank you. And you have a presentation about the Judicial Safe Surrender event?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So the Safe Surrender event is going to be May 12th from 9 o'clock in the morning until 7 p.m. right here in Wilmington at the Leonard L. Williams Justice Center. All 4 of the trial courts for the state of Delaware will be participating. So it'll be the Justice of the Peace Court, the Court of Common Pleas, Family Court, and Superior Court. If you could advance to the next slide, please. So back in 2009, the Delaware Judiciary held a similar event that was funded with a joint operation with the U.S. Marshal Service. That event was a 3-day event. It was held off-site at a church. And over those 3 days, we cleared over 1,000 warrants, KBS's bench warrants, for people in the state of Delaware. If we could go to the next slide, please. So now here we are today. We're going to have a 1-day event, again, May 12th from 9 o'clock in the morning until 7 p.m. Like I said, it's going to be at the Leonard L. Williams Justice Center. All 4 of the courts will be involved. We are going to have community partners outside of the courthouse on the gathering space in front of the courthouse. Those partners are going to be some civic organizations as well as some support organizations. And it's going to give people the opportunity to clear their records with favorable consideration. So what that means, and the important thing is that it's not an amnesty program. It's not a just come in, turn yourself in, and you don't have to worry about anything at all. The event in 2009, it was less than 1% of the people that came in and turned themselves in were not allowed to go home that night. We're envisioning that number to be even less with this event because it's state of Delaware KPSs and warrants. But there is always an opportunity that they may not be able to go home if they come in and they're wanted for a violent felony, for instance. Generally, outside of a violent felony, they're going to be able to come in, deal with their KPS, their warrant, clear it, get a new court date or a new payment plan, and go back home that night. This is not an opportunity for the courts to lay the hammer on people. The judges are really going to be lenient and give people the opportunity to take care of the things that they need to take care of that have lapsed for one reason or the other, and then start out the afternoon or the evening of May 12th with a clean slate and not have the fear of being pulled over by a police officer and then being consequently drug into a courthouse because they missed a court date or they missed a fine. If we could go to the next slide. So the plan is that we will do this on May 12th, and we'd like to expand it to Kent County and Sussex County as well as have other events here in Newcastle County on future dates. So the important things, again, to remember is that it's not amnesty, and we want to help as many people as we can. So if you want to go to the last slide, and this is if anybody has any questions.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Is this an event involving the law schools? Actually, I actually participated in this in law school. It was the year I graduated. When I was at Delaware Law, I actually was a volunteer, so they were recruiting law students too. Have you reached out to the campuses, especially the Black Law Students Association, gotten them involved at all?
That we have not, no, sir.
Okay, all right.
First time anybody recommended that to us, and it's a great idea. I mean, we're gonna have the Public Defender's Office, and it may be a resource to have there. We're gonna have tents in front of the courthouse so that they could be there as a resource, so that, because what's gonna happen is individuals are gonna go in, they're gonna get before a judge, or they're gonna get put on a payment plan or get scheduled for trial, and at that point, they might.
And that was what, because I was Rule 55 in law school, and we had the volunteers, either volunteers who were doing the AG side or the PD side. That way, it's just, again, more advocates we can have in the community to work with the people. So if I can get your information, I can maybe link you in with the law school, see if we can work to get some volunteers from there as well.
I'll give you my business card before we leave.
Thank you.
That would be awesome. Great suggestion.
And I have another question.
Yes, you may follow.
Thank you. In regards to traffic, is traffic included in here? Because, you know, I know a lot of warrants, there's a lot of people that just have traffic. So traffic, someone can go there, clear it up, and will they also have someone from DMV there that can work with them to get their license reinstated?
So traffic is included, so it would be all cases and warrants from JP Court on up to Superior Court. DMV will not be present at the event,
Okay.
but we will be providing paperwork to people that come in so they can go
Okay.
get their business cleared up with DMV as well.
Okay, because I know that's a big issue with the, you get a warrant, your license gets suspended right away, and a lot of folks in Wilmington have that. So I think that would be great if the paperwork can at least be accessible. If DMV can't be there, I think it would be, at least from my perspective, it would be great if DMV
Yep.
was there, but if not,
They had a
at least the paperwork.
They had a van, and we weren't able to make that connection because we talked about it, but because we all operate on Delgis.
Excuse me, could you speak up? I can't be speaking, I can't hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so we had talked about, they have a van, but we were not able to get in contact to have them there. But with a Delgis, it's real time. The cases are entered into the system real time. Plus, they'll have their paperwork when they leave with the new trial date or whatever, but the warrant will be cleared by appearing.
Okay, great.
Thank you. I
Thank
would
you.
like to recognize President Congo, Councilwoman Darby, Harley, and Councilman Spadola are all in attendance.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Councilman Mills.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, my question was in reference to the KPSs. If they have a KPS for not paying their fines, would those individuals need to make sure they have money to come and pay their fines, or is it just going to be starting fresh at that time? Or would they need money to get released?
So it's at the discretion of the judge that hears that particular capias, but they have been given direction, we'll say, to use their discretion and to just set new payment plans and send them on their way. So generally speaking, it will be a start fresh with a new payment plan.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And that's a great question. If you don't mind, if they would bring, if you talk to anybody, what folks really need is preferably ID. Sometimes because of driver's license issues, they don't have the ID, but picture ID will help speed things along when they come to check in.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was actually going to be one of the questions I asked. Did anyone else have any questions? Yes, Councilwoman Oliver.
I think Councilman Mills tapped on it for his cases. about the child support. I want to talk about the child support because I had a friend who got the date mixed up, and her son turned himself in early, and he won't be out until this Wednesday, and he turned himself in last Wednesday. So regarding the child support, they're going to basically just reset their payments. I mean, lift the capers, reset their payment, and start all over for payment arrangement. Is that, I too remember when they had this over Reverend Weeks' work, church years ago, and I was able to go over there, take some individuals over there. But as he just stated, Roger, I don't recall of anyone that had a capers being kept. So hopefully that's not the case when you said it's on the judge's discretion. But I just don't recall anybody who just had a normal cape as far as traffic. I don't recall anybody. But I wanted to hear a little bit more about the child support, if you can elaborate on that, so it's a clear understanding.
So we're both representing the Justice of the Peace Court, and child support is a family court issue. But from what I understand, it would be just resetting the payment plan and then moving forward from that date.
Okay.
They may be asked to come in. I mean, they may get reset to come before a judge again instead of just reestablishing the plan. The judge may want to see them again coming in, but the whole goal of this is it's community related, right? And so we're not going through all of these efforts for any reason other than it's a relief on our police agencies. It's a relief on the weight of the people whose shoulders that have been carrying this around because they forgot about a date, then they didn't know what to do, or they were afraid. So really, this is a community-oriented program, and all of the judges who are participating in the courts understand this, and while it's not amnesty, there is an expectation on the organizers that consideration is given, that individuals are coming, they're turning themselves in. It's not requiring a police officer who stops somebody for a red light or something to now have to take them in, bring them before a judge, and all of those other time-consuming things and stressful. And it's to eliminate that and to encourage people that this is an opportunity. The courthouse is a welcoming place. I was just with Senator Brown, and it's the Leonard L. Williams Justice Center. It's about justice, and that's what this day is really about, and to bring the community into the location where justice is served and to be able to free themselves of those the stress that they've been carrying. When you have an open capias, you're always worried. You never, any little thing could get you picked up, and who needs that, right?
May I follow up?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Ms. Elizabeth. I appreciate you clearing all that up. And I think it's a great program, as you stated, just to take the pressure off everybody's back. Another question was about the ID. You said a picture ID, and also, to my understanding, even if they have Medicaid ID or Medicare ID, and that's good enough. Because I ran into a gentleman today who just got out of prison a little while ago, and he's having a problem getting ID, but he said he has his Medicaid card or Medicaid. So, okay, so it's not just an ID, a picture ID, just something to identify who they are, even if he has his jail ID.
Even if they don't have an ID.
Even if they don't have an
prefer,
ID.
we want them to bring one. It'll speed things along.
Okay.
But we are not going to turn, if they know their birth date and their name and it matches in a system, then that's.
And I just wanted to thank Senator Brown also for sponsoring or putting this event together, because as you stated, everyone knows we haven't did this in 15 years, so hopefully it won't take another 15 years to have something as such. Thanks again, both of y'all, for coming. That's all.
Thank you.
President Conga?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I know sometimes people aren't aware that they do have a capias. Is there a way for them to find out? Is there a number or like how
So
can
there-
people find out they have a capias?
There
or
is a
not?
phone number as well on the court's website, so courts.delaware.gov, and then /safe surrender. There's actually a link where you can click the link and go to the Deljust webpage, and you can search for your wanted record there, name and date of birth,
Okay,
and it will tell you everything that is out there.
all right, thank you.
Okay, did anyone else have any questions? Okay, if there's nothing else, I did have one question. I just wanted to find out, since the last event that you had was over 3 days, and this will be one. Just wanted to find out, basically how you're measuring success. Is there expectation that you're looking for? You know, how many people that you believe may attend, or?
Our goal, what we're hoping for, is 750 people.
Okay.
The last time that we did it, it was over 3 days. It was funded primarily by the U.S. Marshals Service. This event, one-day event, is funded by the state of Delaware. The Delaware Courts and the Criminal Justice Council is providing some funding assistance as well. So we're trying to start small, get the traction going, and then have future other events in the future.
That
I
sounds
could
good.
add, this is open to residents throughout the state of Delaware, just so you know. I mean, you guys are in Wilmington, but it's open to everybody in the state. So just because it's in Newcastle County, the states are statewide, the courts are statewide. So anybody throughout the state can come up. We do anticipate or hope to have future events. A little scared. Nobody's going to show up or we're going to be inundated. So we're hoping for the best. I think it's a great event, and we've been out doing a lot of promotion, and we really, really appreciate you all inviting us in and hope you'll help us share the word.
Thank you. I do see Councilwoman Harley has a question.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for the information and this short presentation. My question to you is that I heard you mention the different categories and the particular court that will be holding this, you know, if they have cases with a particular court. Now, what other categories, like you mentioned traffic, you mentioned child support, what are the other categories?
So capiases and warrants can be issued for any kind of court involvement at all, honestly. So generally, you're looking at capiases for traffic offenses, misdemeanor offenses. Superior Court could possibly have some capiases for failing to appear for a felony hearing. Those are really rare. Most people that are charged with felonies generally appear for their court dates. And then the other category is if they missed a payment, right? So they've had a payment plan, they've missed a payment, a capias gets issued for the missed payment. And then child support as well.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Were there any other questions? All right. Well, I do want to make certain that I do thank and address Senator Brown. Senator Darius Brown actually was the one who brought this to my attention. He wanted to make certain that we promoted it, you know, really well here within the city of Wilmington. I am so glad that, of course, it is extended throughout the state, you know, until you get Kent and Sussex on board and start getting that organized. But we welcome everyone here to come get those things, take advantage of this opportunity and get those things cleared up. So that will be the actual event is going to be on May 12th.
Yes.
It is from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And it will be at the, hold up, let me make sure I got it right. I'm sorry for that. Yeah, I know, but I just wanted to make certain I said the name of the courthouse. See it? Okay. Okay. So it is going to be on the courthouse on King Street, but I don't have.
Leonard Williams.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Leonard Williams, because the only thing rolling in my head is Lewis L. Redding. The Leonard the Leonard Williams courthouse. So, like I stated, you know, Mr. Ruth and Ms. Ms. Pittrick basically stated, you know, come on out and take care of this, take this opportunity and get this stuff cleared up. We don't want you to miss out. So if there is nothing else, I'll be able to say thank you so much
Thank you
for
so
coming
much for
out.
having
And we welcome this presentation, and we look forward to seeing you again on Friday, next Friday.
Thank you very
And I will
much.
leave some business cards. You can reach
Good.
out. If there are any other agencies, please have them reach out.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, so we will move forward with our next item on the agenda. We will be looking at a resolution encouraging the administration to create a community response team by Councilwoman Darby.
Yes, thank you, Council Chair. So this piece of resolution, as you just stated, to encourage our administration to support the assessment that is currently happening in regards to starting a community response team. Just to give like a little background, there was a meeting that happened with some council people, chief of police Campos, and also our chief of staff, and then I think she's the director of our violence prevention program that's funded through our ARPA funds. And I really had set up the meeting because I really wanted to address a gap that is that I see that's happening in the city of Wilmington that hasn't been addressed yet. And we know we have a criminal justice system that targets Black and brown people, people with disabilities, mental health, and substance abuse challenges. And we know that Wilmington Police Department is not exempt from that at all. So out of the meeting, some great things happened, right? We know that our new chief of police is focused on developing community engagement teams, which consist of police officers addressing quality of life issues, which I think is a great initiative, but also very problematic because they're public safety people. It's sad that they need that much training to be able to interact with people, and they're supposed to protect us. We also, another issue I have with that is that we don't need to keep providing any more funding to grow our police department when it's overfunded, overstaffed, to develop a community engagement team when they're supposed to be community engaged as public safety people already. So like those are some of the issues I have, but they want to start a community engagement team, go ahead, do it. Sounds great. And also, they also have they claim they have or they're starting state partnerships with therapists, mental health services, and the community has not seen that. And we know that state services are stretched thin and can't properly serve our city. Our city is very unique in the types of crimes we have, in our demographics, in our makeup. So it's really important that we have a sole focus on the city of Wilmington. And someone who has a mental health therapist background, I know firsthand how stressed the state services are in dealing with quality of life services that a community response team should be responding to. Also in that meeting, a great initiative that we have funded through our ARPA funds is the office, well, hopefully one day, our Office of Violence Prevention, but starting out with doing some violence prevention work with our partner up in New Jersey. We got ARPA funds, which is temporary, so hopefully next year in our budget, City Council votes to permanently fund gun violence prevention. My first year in council, prior to when they went to New Jersey, I had brought a guest speaker in who was from a city who had a Office of Violence Prevention for their city. So these are all great initiatives, but they're not addressing the gap of they're not addressing the gap we have of focusing on quality of life issues, homelessness, mental health services, substance abuse, domestic violence. I get a lot of complaints by people who work with the homeless population here in the city of Wilmington of homeless people being harassed, targeted, mental health people. As we know, we recently had an event about 20 days ago where there was a suicidal ideation call. And this guy is in a crisis, a mental health crisis. Police respond, he's stabbing himself, and they said that he started to advance with them with a knife, and they decide to shoot him out of all the things on their waist belt. And I'm also waiting for the footage to be released to see if the advance even happened, to see what happened that day. So if we don't see like this is a critical, important thing that we need in our city, we're not properly responding to people with mental health crisis. That should not have, the way we responded to that man and how we treated him was unfair and unjust. And I think it's time now that I'm asking the mayor administration to be a part of the team to start, the assessment is starting, with or without their sign off on it or not. The assessment is going to happen. However, it's better to work in partnership. It's better to work together. It's better to have that happening than to have someone opposing something that is great for the community. So currently we have an assessment. It was $40,000 to get the assessment done. Initially, we were going to put it in the budget to be covered. However, the program that we're working with, a national program, reached out and said, we got grant money, City of Wilmington. We will do the assessment for you guys at no cost. So we have an assessment that's going to happen that does not
have any cost on the city, and that's going to be able to assess and let us know how can we address this gap in our city to dealing with people who have quality of life issues, homelessness, mental health, substance abuse, domestic violence, where we have police officers responding who are not trained to do that type of work. So LEAP is called, the full name is Law Enforcement Action Partnership. They're a national group of officers and law enforcement individuals. It's been so great over the last few months to work with officers, to work with people in the law enforcement field who are willing to make changes to improve their community. It's such a different conversation that I'm having here on the grounds of the city of Wilmington when I see other cities doing this exact thing and implementing these things, and officers and chief of police open and willing to do this type of work. So I'm calling for support from the mayor administration, support from city council, because the assessment is going to happen. They're going to come, they're going to interview people, they're going to talk to the community, they're going to talk to city council people, they're going to pull data, and then they're going to provide a report for us. And this report is going to say exactly what we need to do and how much money is going to cost to us for us to establish a community response team. And I hope that next year in our budget, we're able to budget in a community response team to address that quality of life that we're not addressing currently right now through our so-called state partnerships that we have in our community engagement team, when a man was just shot, and thank God he's alive, by police for having a mental health crisis. So that is my resolution. That is what I'm asking for. If you want to open up, you can open it up, but it's a resolution, so we'll go on the floor for a vote.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Darby. Councilman Johnson, you have something?
Yes, Councilmember Darby, I appreciate you taking this to the table as I've been in several meetings on this very same issue. I guess my question is, given that the administration has a different timeline, what access to data can we do through, I guess, FOIA or, publicly available data without the cooperation of the chief right now?
Yeah, so I don't think cooperation is ever going to come from them, because one, is me putting it up, so let's just be frank. So that's not going to happen. They're not going to support it because Councilmember Darby is presenting it. Two, I can't wait for the administration to say yes. They're never going to say yes to me. So at this point, we're going to have to get what we can get, the information we can, and hopefully the community will hear this and see this and understand that the mayor administration is not willing to be a part of the assessment. And that's all I can say. I can't sit here and allow for nothing to happen.
Okay, all right. And maybe that's a conversation we can have offline just about what data is accessible right now. But as a point, I don't know if you think you were invited, I don't know if you were able to attend. There was a meeting between state legislators and city legislators. I know Chairwoman McCoy, Councilmember Oliver, many others were there with Christiana Care. And actually, this was discussed in pretty good detail. I believe we're in the early stages of talking about a plan with Christiana. So I just wanted to let you know that, again, we can talk more offline, but there was a pretty positive enforcement, or some positive starts between Christiana and the city. And Chief Campos was at that meeting as well.
Yes, I'm very familiar with the meeting happening. I know I talked to all the state reps. I understand what happened at that meeting. I also have close contacts with Christiana Care and the people over there. So I'm very familiar with what the conversation was.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. So I'm of course supportive of this. I just wanted to make sure we could talk about timelines and kind of when we can start. Thank you.
Thank you. I do see Councilwoman Harley. She has her hand up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I did hear Councilmember Darby mention that the state electeds or the state organizations that's supposed to be doing this, you feel as though they're not doing their job, or it's not enough, and that's one. And have you reached out to have meetings to talk about this assessment, or what? Because I can't tell, Councilmember Darby, even as it relates to what Councilmember Johnson just mentioned, I was thinking the same thing in terms of you had the chief of police there, which would have been an opportune time to talk about this topic because that's what that whole meeting was about. And when it talks about, working together, like that's why we were all there. You had some of your state delegates there. You had city council. You had the chief there. You had Deborah that works with the office to address what we're talking about. So I guess what I'm saying is that I think that this conversation is taking place. And have you reached out to the administration and to these different individuals like the chief? Have you reached out to the chief?
Yeah, so in the beginning of when I was talking, I said
Mhm.
that I had a meeting with the chief of police and I had a meeting with the mayor administration. I am familiar with the meeting that happened. I couldn't make it that night. I had talked to the state representative that was the lead of it. I also have spoken to most of the agencies in there, and I work heavy in the healthcare field already. And what they want to do is they want police to respond in conjunction. It's a whole nother program that they're asking for to happen, which does not fit the community response team model that law enforcement officers are implementing throughout the country in the LEAP program. So I am very familiar with the meeting. I don't know if we have to rewind the tape to the beginning of when I started, but I had a meeting and I'm very familiar with all the stakeholders at the table at that meeting. that night.
Okay. One last follow-up, Madam Chair.
Yes, you may.
Okay, so one, I do apologize. My phone did die and I had to reconnect and you were talking when I reconnected my line. So I do apologize for you having to repeat that. So based on what you just said, and thank you for repeating it, you know what's going on. It does not match the model of this, the LEAP group and what they're doing in some of these other cities. So that's pretty much, what we are, that's where the gap is based on what you're saying, Councilwoman Darby? Okay. I just
Correct.
wanted to be clear on, what's the ask and where we stand. And for me, I would just be curious to know, like, what is the difference? I mean, I understand we have a resolution. Like, what is the biggest difference between what we're trying to do here in the city of Wilmington? Because every city, has its own culture in terms of how things are being done. But based on what you know and what you've learned, Councilmember Darby, what do you think the biggest gap is between what LEAP is recommending versus what you've learned from those leaders here in the city of Wilmington?
Yeah, so LEAP came and did a presentation. So I'm not
Yeah, I
sure
did.
if you attended or if you heard or rewatched it. Yeah, so LEAP came and they talked about their program and their model. I can ask for the presentation to be sent to you if you're interested. And I also sent out an email asking if anybody had questions about the model. But I can make sure you get the presentation and a copy of the video if you want to rewatch it.
No. I don't need. No, I've seen the tape. I'm sorry.
They explain in the last public safety meeting exactly what LEAP is. The mayor administration is not interested in developing a community response team. They want to build out their community engagement team with police officers and using state partnerships.
Oh, thank you. No, I completely understand what LEAP is about. I wanted to know from what did you feel as though was the gap? I understand what they're doing, but I wasn't a part of the meetings that you had with the chief or these other individuals from the state or from the administration. So you have that data, you had those meetings, and I don't know if any other council members were with you. I was just trying to understand from you, from your perspective, what you thought the gap was. I got the presentation, and I get where they're coming from. So I was just trying to understand what you thought.
Councilwomen, all right, so I just would like to make sure we bring this conversation back a little bit more so into our committee meeting. So if Councilwoman Darby, if you'd like to answer Councilwoman Harley's question, please.
No, that's fine. No, the meeting is available, as I just stated. The administration wants to build up a community engagement team of police officers and partner with the state when they're actually, Wilmington is a unique city. We have our own very unique in regards to the criminal justice system and how our police department is ran. And we need our own entity of a community response team to deal with those issues. Currently, they claim they partner with the state, but when they responded to the guy and shot him who had a suicidal ideation, where was the state partnership? So the state partnerships and what they're trying to do isn't working. So we have to find something that works for our city.
Okay. All right, thank you. Actually, so I did have a comment. I didn't know whether or not anyone else had any questions. Okay. Yes, President Congo.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Councilmember Darby, I know you said that an organization was going to start to collect some data. Do we know that timeline, when they're going to start?
No, I'm not sure when. I know we just reached out to them last week to start the assessment. So they'll provide a timeline, and they're going to be also looking to meet with city council people, with different departments in the community. So once they send me that, everyone will have that, as I have shared an email with the proposal, and Kendra has it too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right, so Councilman Darby, so I just wanted to basically put some more information out there about the assessment. So you did state that the assessment is actually already going to happen, and that is because there was some data that was already shared. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I've been at this for about a year. So for them to even say that they wanted to select our city, I had to request some 911 call data. So I was able to get that 911 call data and present it to LEAP. So I've been working on this, and I have worked with the police department on getting data and information, and they gave it to me with no problem.
Okay. All right. And so then, I didn't know whether or not our chief was still on the line, but there was some other information. One of the biggest reasons why I wanted to make certain this resolution got here to our floor is because everyone actually isn't party to these conversations. Of course, we cannot have but so many people at like a private meeting because of FOIA violations. So I wanted to make certain other council members were aware of, this resolution and what you were trying to accomplish. So with that being stated, just to let you know, we did have the LEAP, just to reaffirm, we did have the LEAP. LEAP came and presented at least twice, and they made us aware of the training. Assessment may begin, but we did share some data. One of the things that Chief Campos did speak about was the fact that there was training that needed to happen. And I think that was more so because of, these are law enforcement officers, not social workers or our psychiatrists. So there's some training that needed to happen in order to make certain that the community engagement goes the way Chief Campos wishes it to. So that was something that he had spoke about as well. One of the things that I'd actually heard talked about was the fact that Chief just basically had gotten in and he was trying to get some things accomplished or move forward before we start looking at anything else or these other items. And what it is that LEAP does not just want data. It wants our full participation to do all of these other things. It's not just taking a raw data and making an assessment. All these conversations, all these meetings, whatever, and at this time he's been trying to be busy and sending people to training and such. So I just wanted to make certain more of that information was shared with our council colleagues who did not get a chance to be at that meeting. So I didn't know whether or not there was anything. I didn't know whether or not there was anything else you wanted to make certain that we were aware of, because this is a resolution, as you stated, and it will go to the full floor.
Yeah, no, nothing else. And I think Chief Campos coming on and doing the community engagement team sounds like a great initiative to have police officers respond to quality of life issues, but we know that they're not trained. We know that the state agency partnership piece is not working here, and it's time that we actually really do something. We already had somebody shot. That's not the first police shooting in regards connected to mental health here in Wilmington. So I think it's time that we take the next step forward. And they didn't give me a timeline. They just told me no, and that they're like, There was no timeline. It's not, hey, let's revisit this in 6 months. Let's revisit this in a year. It was a no. And that was it from that meeting. There was no follow-up. There's no follow-through. There's nothing from that meeting that came out of it other than they're going to focus on a community engagement team and these so-called state partnerships that they have, and that was it. So that is it from my resolution.
Okay. Thank you so much, Councilman Darby. I just wanted to find out if any other council members had questions. If not, I wanted to ask if there was anyone in the public that had a comment.
Well,
Oh, are we losing her? I'm sorry, Councilman Darby, were you trying to address? Yeah.
no, I went on mute.
Okay, okay. All right, so as I stated, was there anyone in the comment that had any, anyone in the public that had any comments? Okay, all right, good. All right, so as we stated, this is a resolution, so we'll come to the full floor. Did you have a date for it, Kendra? May, okay, so it will come to before council on May 18th. Thank you so much, Councilman Darby, for your presentation, or your presentation of your resolution. Okay. So we have one more resolution that we would like to discuss. This is the last thing on the agenda. It is going to be a resolution encouraging the Delaware General Assembly to support SB 2 to better regulate firearms and promote responsible gun ownership. And the sponsor is Councilman Johnson.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman. This is a resolution that is supporting the General Assembly's SB 2, which Senate Bill 2 is a first in Delaware legislation. And the primary sponsor is Senator Tizzy Lockman, along with our local city state reps and state senators, essentially requiring permits to purchase all handguns in our state. So as you all know, one issue that specifically Wilmington has is a problem with untraceable handguns or handguns that are purchased and then passed down. So the studies have shown that the permit system will ensure that there's responsible gun ownership. And so another key aspect of this is that there's actually going to be state vouchers for those who can't afford the permit. So they make sure that there are no financial barriers to responsible Second Amendment rights. So this is, it is somewhat controversial. It's never happened in the state before, but it's something that's needed. Again, these are just a lot of tools that can work in conjunction with the other tools we have to ensure that we can have a safer Wilmington. So this is something, again, that we're hoping to get over the finish line. I believe it did pass out of Senate committee last week, and is waiting to hit the Senate floor. So again, this facing a lot of pressure and protests in Dover. And we're hopeful that it goes forward because this is something that responsible gun owners want, and they want reasonable guidelines and policies to ensure that only responsible gun owners are able to have access to firearms. So we're hoping that with our Wilmington voice, we can make it loud and clear that all of City Council stands behind this bill, and it needs to get over the finish line.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilman Johnson. Did anyone have any questions about this resolution? Yeah. President Congo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do we know, I know there's a loophole when there's a gun show and people don't have to go through the normal process of when they purchase a gun. Will this close that loophole, you know?
Yes, so I believe that is one aspect. Again, I'm not the architect of this bill. I believe closing that loophole is an aspect of this.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I had a question. It was more so about the the fee. So I believe if I read it correctly, it was the cost was not the permit. The cost was a gun training. So that's where they were going to make certain that there was vouchers available to make certain that people were taking the training, because the training could be a little costly if you only had enough to purchase a weapon. So I just wanted to make certain that was what I read.
Yes,
Okay.
it is a training, and again, similar to a lot of other states, Most notably, New Jersey has had this for over a decade. It's just common sense, gun safety laws. I mean, you have to get a permit to drive a car. It never made sense why every state in this nation you don't have to have a permit to carry a firearm. But, you know, this is America.
Okay. Well, if there aren't any, I see Councilwoman Harley. She has a question.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnson, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor. As you said, this is just plain common sense, and it sounds like it's moving us closer to where we want to be as it relates to bringing some kind of regulation, you know, around these guns. And hopefully, eventually, we'll get to the point where we can see the impact and the decrease in shootings and some of the crimes. So thank you for presenting this resolution, and I did read about it. Senator Lockman moving forward with it, which was a big win with it passing the Senate. So I'm excited about it. So I would like to be added as a co-sponsor. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, and Councilman Mills?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I too agree. It's definitely a great piece, and I think this would definitely help with the straw purchases in our city, and definitely be able to help see a reduction of the shootings in Wilmington as well. So I too would like to be added as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Is that Councilman Spadol? Okay. All right. So, did you have anything? Okay. All right. Well, I too would like to be added as a co-sponsor. I am glad that we are taking some steps. These are responsible and logical. The training is a little bit more steep than I thought, but because of the fact that we're adding that extra piece in there to make certain that people are able to afford to train that, I think that's kind of what made certain that won me over. So as we are moving forward and trying to make certain that those who are they have a way to get to guns, or they actually are able to access them, have access to them. We just want to make certain that they know exactly how to use them, and that they are and that they're permitted. I think that is logic. You know, I said my 15-year-old can't even drive a car yet, but he could be able to purchase a gun at a gun show. So I do think that's logical. All right. So if there's nothing else, is there anyone in the public who have a comment?
You.
Okay. All right. So with that being stated, that is our last resolution. That is a resolution that will be heard on
May 4th. And Council, Madam Chair, a correction to the first resolution, that will be June 1st for council.
Okay. All right, thank you. So Councilman Johnson's resolution will be heard on May 4th, but the first one, Councilman Darby's, that is going to be on June 1st? Okay. All right, thank you for that correction. All right. And if there is no other questions or no other comments, I thank you very much, Councilman Johnson, for your presentation of your resolution.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we will be, this meeting is adjourned. Well, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. It's been properly moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. I said, well, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and I look forward to seeing you again in May. I'm sorry, June.
you.
You have a great evening.